So, friends, welcome to our today's class. We'll continue our discussion on working capital management. Previous class, have you remembered where we have left? Which parts we have discussed? Uh,
You already covered the problem part.
yeah, problem part. I think some of the problems we have already solved. And you had a
Yes,
query
sir.
also in the last class. So let me share the screen fast. I'm going for screen sharing. Let us see. Just wait a minute. So before coming to the that part, in the previous class, there was a query raised by you regarding this working capital leverage. Do you have any other query?
No, sir.
Any of you have any other query?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll first discuss that query. That query is about working capital leverage. In that context, I had shown you this particular slide that how to derive the formula for working capital leverage. Okay. So this is what shown to you that this is the formula. You see, just a minute. This is the base formula. How to calculate working capital leverage. We have understood this. Change in the percentage
Yes,
change
sir.
in return on investment divided by percentage change in current asset. So
Current
there was
asset.
no issue. You have already understood. Your only query was somewhere here that if the current asset
Yes, sir.
decreases, okay, then what is the impact
Yes,
we
sir.
are calculating? And this is the formula you have taken. The change in EBIT divided by total asset, whole divided by EBIT by total asset. Okay, this is basically the formula for
Yes,
working
sir.
capital leverage. This is what that same formula is there, is it not? In the same
Yes,
formula,
sir.
we need this thing, and this first ROI is calculated like this, and working capital leverage is
Uh,
calculated by using that entire formula. And the same
yes,
thing
sir.
is written here, and your query is that how this is
How it is?
converted to these states, right? In this
Yes,
state,
sir.
you had this query.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to explain that thing, I have added a note here how this particular thing has happened. This note, if you can read, a finite decrease in the initial value of the current asset by change in current asset. This delta is change in current asset, while delta current asset. The
Yes,
finite
sir.
increase in the initial value of ROI is given by this formula. This formula is written like this. Suppose you see delta EBIT divided by total asset, whole divided by EBIT by total asset. Okay.
Total
So
asset.
what does it
Yes, sir.
mean? Suppose I will say uh, delta EBIT by total asset. What is EBIT by total asset? This one.
RI. Yes, sir.
That, that means what? Suppose I will say EBIT by
Return
total.
on investment.
What is that?
Return on investment.
Return on
EBIT by.
investment. Okay, that is return on investment. If I delta on total, EBIT by total asset means return on investment. So if I say change in EBIT by total asset, that means change in ROI I am talking about.
Yes, sir.
Okay, change in ROI talking about. Now this change in ROI, now see this change in ROI I am calculating like this. Okay, how ROI is changing? Because of working capital, EBIT is remaining same. EBIT divided by total asset minus change in current asset, because our assumption is that current asset is decreasing. So when current
Decrease.
asset is decreasing, that will have impact on the total asset. So from that
Yes, sir.
total asset, I am reducing the change in current asset.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So EBIT divided by total asset minus change in current
Total
asset.
asset. Minus.
Okay. I'm
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm calculating. I'm calculating change in ROI. Change in ROI is first. You see, this is EBIT divided by. You can say this is your new total asset
Yes,
minus
sir.
EBIT divided by, you can say, our old total asset. That means existing total asset. And here total asset reduced by the change. And if I calculate this thing, then what I am getting, I will be getting change in ROI. This change in ROI, this you have to understand like this. This EBIT is TA. These two, both the things, if you see, they represent ROI.
Yes,
So I am calculating change in ROI. Change in ROI I am calculating by using this formula.
yes, sir.
Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that is the step. So last class I couldn't explain it because of time was not available for that thing. So I think you'll be able to manage to learn
Yes,
this
sir.
formula, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is the, you can say that is the primary formula for calculating working capital leverage. This is two other formulas also you can use it. One is this part, that is change in current asset divided
Yes, sir.
by total asset divided minus change in
My,
current asset. This is
yes,
again current asset divided by total asset plus change in current asset.
yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
right. Okay. So now we'll move further. We'll see what we are learning so far. All these
Yes, sir.
things we have covered. Okay, all these questions we have already solved. Working capital cycle we had computed in our previous class. Acha, I think we are supposed to start from this theoretical part. Banking norms
Yes,
on
sir.
working capital. Right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be quickly understanding this thing.
Yes, sir.
So you see, you must be knowing that banks gives finance for working capital.
Yes,
Banks
sir.
gives term loans. Banks also provide finance for working capital. Right? Why banks provide working capital finance? Because banks understand to run the industry, you need some money needs to be invested in raw material, in stock in progress or work in progress, in finished goods and solid data. Every business, if business is to be run successfully, then we have to invest some money in this area, is it not? And all these things
Yes, sir.
represent working capital, right? And business houses need money for investing in these areas. Okay. So normally what
Yes,
the bank do, bank assess business wise for every company or for their borrowers, banks assess what is their working capital requirement, or they call what is the working capital gap. So they can see the balance sheet, then look at the balance sheet like this. What are the current assets? What are the non-current assets? What are the current liabilities? What are the non-current liabilities? All these things are there. Okay. Then what they do, they find out, is there any gap? Suppose to run the business to with this kind of, to manage this kind of current liabilities, whether the current assets are sufficient. If it is not sufficient, that means there is some working capital gap. Is it not? If working capital gap is there, the bank may be interested to provide finance for that. Because if that
yes,
business is financed for working capital, then business can run smoothly. Okay, so that
yes,
their target level of production, the target level of sales can be achieved only when working capital is provided to them. Okay,
yes,
so banks
yes, sir.
want the business house should have an acceptable level of current asset, and accordingly they will provide finance for that. Okay, so working capital, you know, already we have discussed in these things that the, let us say, investor or the business house, the company or the business organization buys inventory and he has to pay money for that. When buys, he has to buy it and he has to pay money. And company also sells goods and customer has to pay. And it takes some time. Company has to pay money and the customer has to pay for goods. So money has to be collected here from the customer. This is what I call it a cash in. And money has to be paid here. Company has to pay for whatever goods and services it has purchased.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in between,
Yes,
there is a gap. Company buy and company makes payment. And this gap, there is a payable. Company maintains a payable. Always payable is its company's current asset, current liabilities. Is it not? Company maintains this
yes, sir.
payable balance. Similarly, company also maintains a receivable balance because
Current
company
asset.
sells and subsequently money will be collected. Company maintains a receivable balance. Company also maintains from buying to converting into for selling from the time of buying till the time of selling. Company maintains inventory. This can be, is it not? Company maintains
Yes, sir.
inventory. Okay. And company's working capital means what is the kind of money required to meet this gap when cash is getting in and the cash is getting out. I need to pay money and
Yes, sir.
I will be receiving money. That is called as the working capital gap, right?
Yes, sir.
So always your
Yes, sir.
financer assess that working capital gap. If he is satisfied that this gap is genuine, then the financer will be interested to provide you working capital. Okay. And since over a period it has been observed that there has been any mismanagement in this working capital management area. So different point of times, various authorities like Reserve Bank of India has formed various kinds of study groups or committees to have a look or to study on all these areas. That whether these business houses are uh, getting sufficient working capital, are they facing any kind of banking difficulties? To study all these things, various kinds of study groups and committees have been formed from time to time. Okay, so there are some of these committees are there in your syllabus, so we will be quickly covering these things. First committees you see, as you can read it from here, the HEJA study groups. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this particular study group was formed to control the possibilities of overfinancing and the possibility of diversion of banking funds. So this committee, you can say this committee was, or this study group was formed with a notion that there might be some overfinancing. That means banks might be financing more than the requirement. Or what the customers are doing, they are diverting the fund. Suppose they are taking a loan for working capital, but they are investing it, let us say, some kind of non-current assets. So that's a fund diversion, is it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That should not happen. To control these tendencies, to control the tendency of overfinancing or the possibility of diversion. So this study group was formed and they gave some kind of suggestion, many suggestions that give two primary suggestions are that banks should give finance on the basis of borrowers' operations. That means on the basis of borrower's business, finance should be provided, not on the basis of
Yes, sir.
security consideration. That means someone is offering you high security. Okay, banks gives loan on the basis of some security, right?
Yes, sir.
Most of the bank loans are secured loans. You have to offer
Yes,
some
sir.
security to them. Okay, so if so, here the point is that banks should not provide finance on the basis of security. Rather, it should provide finance on the basis of borrower's operation. That means looking at the operation, how much of the working capital is required, that has to be found out, and accordingly working capital can be financed. Okay, so on
Yes,
the
sir.
basis of projected financial position, their decision has to be taken regarding financing of working capital. But however, these committees' recommendation could not be implemented properly because during this period, 1974, because of some this war situation, the bank's credit demand rose sharply, and it, there was a totally different kind of situation, not normal business scenario. So in that situation, all these suggestions could not be implemented. That is the story of this, the Hedja study. So subsequent to that, another committee was formed. This is another important committee. As you can read, what is the name of this committee?
Tandon committee.
Tandon Committee report. Yeah, Tandon Committee afforded a report like this. So,
Yes.
under the chairmanship of Mr. P.L. Tandon, this committee was formed in July 1974. So, this committee was formed for certain, uh, you can say, with some objectives. This committee was formed. First of all, to suggest guidelines for commercial banks to follow up and supervise. So, commercial banks are supposed to follow some guidelines. Oh, right. So this committee was formed to suggest this kind of guidelines so that activities of the borrowers can be followed up or supervised. To suggest the type of operational data and other information which can be obtained. So this committee was supposed to suggest that which are the information that has been collected from the borrowers on regular basis, maybe on quarterly basis, maybe on monthly basis, like some what is their stock position, what is their debtors position. Okay, right. So this
Yes.
kind of data, what kind of data is required to be collected. So also to make suggestion for prescribing inventory norms, that how much inventory needs to be kept. Inventory management is another important part of working capital management. committee was supposed to suggest that thing. What's the minimum working capital requirement? And suggest the criteria regarding satisfactory capital structure. You know how important capital structure is for increasing the value of the farm. So, what is the ideal capital structure? And also to make recommendation to whether the existing pattern of financing working capital requires to be modified. So, all this committee was supposed to give suggestions on all these areas, right? And committee also gave his opinion, and committee expressed a few things. That one of thing is that bank credit at that time was most of the bank credits are extended on the basis of security, not on the basis of level of operation of the customer. Okay, that is an important thing. So this committee also suggests that bank credit should be extended on the basis of level of operation, right? And the customer should choose bank credit as the first source of finance. So when the customer needs finance, he should first think that bank credit is the best credit. He should go to the bank, not from any other sources. Bank should get information about the operational plans of the customers. So that means financial projections, etc. Bank should get. What is the plan of the customer? Bank should get in advance, and to carry a realistic appraisal of the plans. Banks are supposed to do a kind of appraisal on the customer's farm and see whether the plans are valid or not. And this committee made some recommendations. So in fact, they suggested three kinds of methods. Right, under the first method, the committee suggested the borrower has to contribute minimum 25% of working capital gap. Okay, how much borrower has to contribute?
25%.
25% of working capital gap from long-term funds. That is not from short-term funds. Okay, from some long-term financing arrangement has to be made for 25% of the working capital gap. So we need to find out what is the working capital gap, and 25% of this should be coming from long-term sources. Okay,
Yes, sir.
it is from own funds or from term borrowings, either from term loan or from equity. This will give a minimum current ratio. After adjusting that gap, it will give a minimum current ratio of 1.17 is to 1. Current asset should be 1.17 and current liability should be 1. This should be there if 25% is financed through long-term sources. That is method 1. Okay, but other two methods are also there. You see, read what is the second method. Second method also saying this thing. Borrower has to provide minimum how much?
25%.
Again 25%. Or previously it was 25% of working capital gap, but this is 25% of
Total current asset.
total current asset. Okay, from total current asset, 25% should be submitted through long-term fund.
Yes, sir.
Okay, through long-term funds. So this requires another, you can say, stringent control. Okay, working capital position will be further strong because we have made long-term arrangement for 25% of the entire current asset. First,
Yes,
it
sir.
is only for working capital. Okay, this is another method. You can say second method. Now let us see third method. Third method, what it says, the borrower's contribution for long-term funds will extend to the entire core or current asset. Entire which asset?
Core current asset.
Core current asset. Core current asset, you need to understand, that means you are talking about permanent current asset. Right?
Yes, sir.
And in addition to that, minimum 25% of the balance current asset. That means the entire permanent current asset. We have understood all these things. Permanent working capital and temporary working capital we have understood. Temporary working
Yes.
capital keeps on fluctuating.
Yes, sir.
Permanent working capital is stable.
Regular working
Right?
capital.
Yeah. So you see, if that is the thing. So entire core current asset should be financed through long-term financing. Plus 25% of the balance current asset should also be arranged through
Current
long-term
asset.
finance. So this will again bring more strength to the current ratio. Current ratio will be further strengthened. These are the three methods suggested by them. Okay. So if we summarize this method, what will be the, by using these methods, we'll be able to compute what is MPBF. MPBF stands for, can you read it here? What is the meaning of MPBF? Can you read?
Maximum
Maximum
permissible bank finance.
Maximum
Permissible
permissible bank
bank
finance.
finance.
So, by using three methods, suppose method one we are calculating. So, what is the maximum permissible bank finance is? You see,
0.7.
25% of net current asset current life, the gap will be financed by long-term source to the borrower. Okay. So, bank can give balance 75%. So, 0.75 into current asset minus current life. Okay. Are you getting?
20% था ना?
Yes, sir.
The,
Yeah.
so the first formula is about the 25% of working capital, but here in this formula it is 75%. How?
You see, it says 25% should be provided by whom? By the borrower through long-term finance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it not? 25% should be provided by the borrower. That means 75% should be provided by the bank.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, let me show you this thing. You see, borrower will have to contribute 25%. Borrower means the
Yes, sir.
businessman himself has to contribute 25%. So how much bank
Yes, sir.
can give? Bank can give
75.
maximum 75%.
75.
Yes, sir.
Okay, borrower has to give minimum 25%. So that is the
Yes, sir.
point. Okay, so that is the point,
Yes.
you see. So first method you say 0.75 into current asset minus current liability. This can be financed by the bank. Under second method, 75% of the current asset minus whole of current liability, because 25% of the current asset should be provided by
Borrow.
borrower. Okay. Third method, what is the maximum permissible bank finance is equal to 75% of current asset minus core current asset
Yes, sir.
minus current liabilities. Because entire core current asset will be financed by whom? By borrower. So balance current
Yes.
asset minus core current asset, and that too 75% of this will be financed by bank.
Bank.
Okay, minus current asset. What is core current asset? This represents the permanent component of working capital. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
To understand it further, we'll be going through this particular example. Okay, just some of you please read this example.
Compute maximum bank borrowing permissible under the method 1, method 2, and method 3 of tender committee norms and give your comment. Assume core current asset is 380 lakh and current liabilities are creditor for purchase is 400 lakh and other current liabilities 200 lakh. Bank borrowing including bills discounted with bankers 800 lakh. Total current liabilities 1400 lakh. And current asset are raw material is 800 lakh. Work in progress 80 lakh. Finished good 360 lakh. And receivable in 200 lakh.
Hmm.
Total current asset is 1480.
So current assets total is 1480 and current liabilities total is 1400. Okay. So we have to compute what is the, this is not complete balance sheet. Okay. So don't think that it should match. It should not match because it's not complete balance. It's a current asset, current liability position. And you see, uh, we are supposed to compute the maximum permissible bank finance under this kind of situation. Okay. Uh,
Yes, sir.
how to do it, I'm explaining you. So you can try it at home. So this is the table you see through which I'll be explaining. So method 1, 2, 3 I have explained. Okay, later on you can pause the video and understand it. So first we'll try to understand formula. Formula under first method is 75% of current asset minus current liabilities.
Yes.
Okay, other than bank borrowing. Bank borrowing has to be. Second method is 75% of current asset minus current liabilities. Here again, bank always current liabilities, bank borrowings will be excluded. Third case, 75% of the current asset minus core current asset minus current liabilities other than bank borrowing. Right? So in first case, we are calculating 75% minus 75% of current asset minus current liability.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is current asset? Current asset total you see is
1408.
1408.
okay. And what is current liabilities?
1400.
1400, but that includes bank borrowing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So bank borrowing you exclude karke how much?
600.
600.
600. So what we will do?
Yes.
1480 minus 600. So this is the maximum permissible borrowing under method
Yes.
1. Second case. So 75% into 1480 and
All current asset.
from there 600 will be deducted. So 510 is the maximum permissible borrowing. You see, this is a more strict procedure. Okay, according to second method, banker can give less money. Third case, what is the maximum permissible bank borrowing? Core current asset data is given 380. So using the formula 225 is the maximum permissible bank. But this particular business has already having bank borrowing of 800, 800, 800. This is the maximum permissible, but they have taken more. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
So that is you can say this is a poor management. So consequently, what ideally this business house should do. So this is the permissible, but they have taken excess. So the difference is 140. They have taken excess borrowing,
Yes, sir.
working capital loan.
Yes,
They
sir.
should arrange from long-term loan for this. Okay, the excess borrowing may be converted into long-term loans. Okay, subsequently, which may be phased out gradually. But right now, the excess money, excess borrowing needs to be converted into some kind of long term. Understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next committee is about Chure committee report. This is again with similar kind of objectives. This committee was formed by Reserve Bank of India in the year 1979. Mr. K.V. Chure was the under the chairmanship of Mr. K.V. Chure. This committee was formed, and they have made this kind of recommendation. The bank should obtain quarterly statement in the prescribed format from the borrowers having working capital limit of 50 lakhs and above for those kind of borrowers. So quarterly statement should be obtained. And bank should undertake periodical review of the limits of 10 lakhs and above. Bank should continuously review, not that working capital loan is sanctioned, then finished. But here it suggests that periodically the business of the borrower needs to be reviewed. Banks should not bifurcate cash credit accounts into demand loans and CC components. Cash credit loans should be treated as a cash credit loan. It should not be divided into two parts. One is demand loan, and other one is, let us say, cash credit loan.
Credit card.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Borrower, if the borrower does not submit quarterly returns, the bank has to ask for these quarterly statements. Right? If the borrower does not submit quarterly returns, then the bank may charge penal interest of 1% for the outstanding amount. So that borrower should be sincere to submit quarterly returns, and bank can review it periodically. What is their sales position? What is their stock position? Okay, how much debtor is there outstanding? All these things bank can review by seeing. Then banks should discourage sanction of temporary limits by charging 1% interest over the normal rate of this limit. So whatever limit has been sanctioned, that should be considered as the final limit, permanent limit. Temporarily, that should not be extended by charging extra interest. Banks should fix separate credit limits for the peak level and non-peak level. And certain businesses, houses, the peak time they need more working capital. In the non-peak times, they can manage with less working capital. So accordingly, so multiple working capital levels can be fixed. Banks should take steps to convert cash credit limits into bill limits for financing sales. Sales financing means money is outstanding with the debtors and we need finance for that. So that portion of the working capital requirement can be financed through bill limits. That means through bill discounting that can be financed. That means you will be raising the bill to the customer will have accepting, and that bill can be discounted. So ultimately, the borrower can get money by discounting that the bills. So it says that the sales financing should be done through bill limits and not through cash credit limits. Okay, these are the some of the suggestions given by Chore.
Yes, sir.
One more committee was also formed in the year 1982, November 1982. That is called as Marthe Committee. So they suggested some scheme. They are called as the Credit Authorization Scheme or CASH. So they suggested orderly credit management to improve the quality of bank finance. Okay. So credit authorization scheme scrutiny for certain segments of the borrowers they have suggested. That means the way credit amounts are authorized that needs to be scrutinized. So before sanction of the loan, banks authorizes the credit, and that procedure needs to be scrutinized. That is their suggestion. There is one more committee that is, as you can read the name. The name is
Chakrabarti.
Chakravarti Committee. Okay, Mr. Sukhmoy Chakravarti, under his chairmanship, this committee was formed. They have made some observation that this committee observed one rather interesting thing, you can say, that lot of delays are happening in the payments from public sector units and the government departments, etc. Right, the business houses or the businessman, when they're supplying material and services to public sector undertakings or to government departments, these departments are making late in releasing the payment. Okay, the delay in making payment. So accordingly, what happens? The borrower suffers or the customer
Yes, sir.
suffers. No, the supplier suffers. His money is blocked in the form of uh, Sunday debtors. Okay, so this affects their business. So there are a lot of money is there in the debtors, but these departments are making delay in releasing payment. So this committee suggested, Chakrabarti committee suggested that government should take some initiative to include a penal interest payment for if some department is making some delay
Delay.
releasing the payment, they should pay some penal interest for all these
Yes, sir.
delayed payments. Right, and they gave one more suggestion that the cash credit limit should be segregated into components like this. Cash credit one to cover supplies to government. When you are making government supplies, there might be delay in receipt of the payment. So one credit limit can be fixed for that thing. Cash credit limit two for special circumstances and contingencies. If some emergency contingency situation arises, so the second cash credit limit can be there. Third is for normal working capital limit to cover your normal credit facilities, these limits can be used for. So like this, three categories of credit limit can be extended. Okay, and then also government should take care of these delayed payments. Right.
Yes, sir.
So here is one more committee report that is about this is called as the Kannan Committee report. They have reported in the year 1997. Committee was formed in 1996. They said there should be some kind of regular interface with the borrowers. So the borrower and the banker should communicate to each other on regular, with some kind of regularity. So periodical affidavit declaration highlights of the assets, declaring highlights of the assets, liabilities, operating performance. All these things should be submitted. Periodical exchange of information between and among the financial institutions and bank. They should exchange the information. Establishing a time-bound program, a credit information bureau to provide updated information about the existing and new borrowers. So first of all, so there can be a time-bound program through which loans etc. can be sanctioned, and one bureau, credit information bureau should be there, which can provide information about the customers, existing customers as well as new customers. Suppose someone is an habitual defaulter, so information should be available with the bank that this person willfully makes default. so that credit should not be sanctioned. So this kind of information should be made available to the bank.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is this committee. So these are about various committees which have suggested improvements in our banking system. One more concept we are going to learn, that is called as the, popularly this is called as the CMA. This stands for, can you read it? What is
Credit
it? Credit Monitoring Arrangement. Okay, Credit Monitoring Arrangement, popularly called as CMA. So this is basically a report which shows the projected performances and past performance. That means what has happened in the past in the business and what is the future projection. In future, what is going to happen. So that kind of projection is called as the credit monitoring arrangement. Bankers review this CMA, and on that basis they decide whether loans should be sanctioned or not. Okay, and this CMA includes computation of financial ratios, and by seeing the CMA, the financial health of the businesses can be found out. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
if this is prepared with the help of professionals, if it is professionally prepared, it enhances the possibility of obtaining a loan, because all the ratios, all the financial parameters will be taken care of in that report. By seeing that, banker will be able to assess the financial health and will be able to sanction the loan promptly. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this report contains a detailed analysis of the past performance, and in case of larger loans also there is a requirement that the CMA should be submitted to banks also, submitted to the Reserve Banks also, right? In case of large borrowings, so Reserve Bank of India may review that thing. Okay, so, and this report, the CMA contains so many things like particulars about the current and proposed limit. If already some loan is already sanctioned, then what is the current limit? In some cases, what happens, currently there is one limit, and the borrower proposes for its renewal or for the extension of the facilities. So, what is the current limit? What is the proposed limit? That data should be available in this CMA report. Okay, so existing fund and non-fund based credit limits. Do you have any idea what is fund based, what is non-fund based credit limit?
No, sir.
Okay, when you say it is a fund based credit limit, that means bank's fund is involved. That means banks gives money. Suppose your one term loan is sanctioned, so bank will give you money. Or
Yes,
working
sir.
capital loan is sanctioned, bank will give you money. But non-fund based credit means bank will not give you money. Bank will give you some kind of guarantee or some kind of facility. Okay,
So, for
bank.
example,
Uh, Example, let us say like a letter of credit system. You might have heard of this thing, or we call it the BG, banker's guarantee. Bank will give a guarantee that this particular bill will be or not, this particular bill will be paid. Bank is not giving you any money. Okay, but bank is giving you a guarantee. For example, let us say, many cases practically this thing happens. Some businesses house what they happen. They have to deposit some money in some situation. Let us say construction contractors, to obtain a contract, they have to deposit some money. Okay,
yes, sir.
maybe with the
Yes, sir.
government with some authorities. Suppose there is a big contract and there is a requirement then to apply for this contract or to apply for this thing, for participating in the contract tender, you have to deposit 10 lakh rupees. So one option is that you have to deposit 10 lakh rupees, or there is a possibility that you may deposit a bank guarantee. Okay, so here what will happen? Bank will give a guarantee, right? This person is capable of doing that kind of contract. In case he makes any default, then bank will compensate to the party. Okay, and this guarantee can be deposited. So whether bank gave you any money, bank didn't give you any money, bank gave you a letter of credit. Bank gave you,
Yes, sir.
let's say, BG, bank guarantee.
Guarantee.
Bank guarantee, right? Bank gave you a BG or bank guarantee. So that, but by depositing that bank BG, you saved your 10 lakh rupees. Isn't it? So bank didn't
Yes,
give
sir.
you the money. Bank only gave you a BG,
Guarantee.
bank guarantee. For that, bank will be charging you some commission. So
Yes, sir.
these kind of facilities are called as the non-fund based credit limits.
Yes, sir.
So CMA should contain all this, the present or future proposed limits. Then operating statement, what is the current sales, profit, profit after tax, future projections, maybe for 3 years to 5 years projections are submitted. And the balance sheet situation, what is the current balance sheet, so the future balance sheet. Okay, in that, what is the current asset, non-current asset, all these positions are there in the CMA report. Then comparative statement of the current asset and current liabilities. They are presented in such a way that they can comparable. One can see the movement, how from year on year basis it keeps on changing. Then what is the maximum permissible bank finance? Just the way we have computed working capital finance under Tandon
Yes, sir.
committee suggestions. So what is the maximum permissible bank finance that can be computed? It will show
Yes,
a
sir.
fund flow statement. Statement means you understand it is a like working capital statement. Okay, what is the movement of working capital that can be found out through that statement? And it will give you some kind of ratio analysis. That is what is the gross profit ratio or net profit ratio. All these things can be found out from that CMA report. Right. So I will do one thing right now. I'm trying to show you one CMA report practically.
So this CMA report generally prepared by who? Company or bank?
CMA report is prepared by whom? That is your question. Normally, it is
Yes.
prepared by the customer. Sometimes,
Com-
maybe to help the customers, banks may prepare it. But ideally, it is your proposal. You should prepare it. That means businessman should prepare the CMA. Okay. Banks may help in preparation. Sometimes businessmen takes helps of the professionals to prepare the CMA. I was telling you, I'll be showing you some of these CMA reports. Just wait a minute. Let me see if it is available. Yeah. Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You see,
Yes,
this is
sir.
in fact a Excel file. This is a CMA report of a particular business house. On this first page, you see, as you see, first page is instructions. Second page, you see form one. You see this assessment of working capital requirement, but in the various years, let us say this is a current year, these are future projections are given for different year. What is the sales? This is normally a standard format followed by the banker, and you have to submit data as per this format. Can you see it? All this data has to be submitted. Okay. These data for various years projections will be submitted. Then another form you see. This is the analysis of balance sheet. This data is to be there. Various kinds of balance sheet data is there. One more form, comparative statement of the current asset and current liabilities for various future years for several years it has been given. One more form, fund flow statement. Okay, what are the sources of fund? What are the application of funds are there? Then in case of asset-based finance, this data is also there. Then various checkpoints for the banker that whether this has been showing the proper trends, proper ratios, etc. or not. You see various kinds of ratios are there. Ratios are automatically computed if data is filled in those cells in various sheets. The various ratios can be computed like this. Right. This is how CMA can be prepared.
सर फ्यूचर रेशियोज के सिर्फ कम कैलकुलेट किए
You
जाते
have
हैं
to do projection. Now you are estimating next year how much will be the sales, how much will be the debtors. On that basis, you can compute. These are all estimations. Suppose this figure I will be showing you. These are estimates. So how can you say that domestic sale will be this much in the year 2024? Because we are estimating in future it will grow like this. Maybe in certain percentage, maybe at 10%, 8%, it will grow. So we can see the movement, how it is moving. Okay. So this is projections. You have to project. So definitely sales will grow, but at a certain rate it will grow, and you have to estimate that. Accordingly, ratios will be computed. If sales will be this much, consequently, accordingly, debtors will be this much. Like this, you have to do the projection. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, so I will again go back to our previous uh, PPT files. I'm going to share that file now. Wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah. This is what we have discussed. Now to prepare CMA, these are the documents which you require. General things, previous 2 years financial statement. If earlier some loan is sanctioned, that sanction letter. Provisional financial statement. For the current year's provisional financial statement, because year might not have been completed. So perhaps you might have to provisionally prepare a financial statement for the current year. Term loan repayment schedule, how you are planning to repay the term loan. Suppose you are planning to repay the term loan in 8 years. So that schedule should be there. Accordingly, you can do projection for 8 years. The details of proposed enhancement. If you are applying for enhancement of the loan, then the details should be submitted. Right. So these are about the documents which are required for preparation of CA.
Yes, yes,
Now,
sir.
one more concept we will be seeing. This is about the myth about current asset. So normally it is believed that the liquidity is proportional to the current assets. That means if you are having more current asset, that it is better. Your liquidity is more, but liquidity is more and it is better. Okay, if farm who is having good current ratio, that's good. Okay, that
Yes, sir.
but this is you have already studied a substantial portion of the working capital. Now you must have understood that working capital means it involves a kind of cost. It means investing in current assets. So consequently, you have to get less return, right? So current assets should be maintained in the right proportion. If it is maintained disproportionately, that means you unnecessarily keep more current asset. Then what is the reason? Or if you see from the financial statement, if for instance current asset is increasing, for example, let us say debtors is increasing. So we have to see what is the quality of debtors. Maybe it is increasing because some of the debtors are old, because of the age of the debtors is increasing. When age increases, debtors age increases, that means debtors become older, it affects the quality of debtors. So current asset size is increasing, but quality is deteriorating. That aspect has to see. So point here is that current asset has to maintain a right proportion. It should not be maintained in a disproportionate manner. And also, more current assets have lot of costs like this. It involves some cost of raw material and intermediate inputs or WIP, raw material, etc. If you maintain high balance, it has got a cost. Storing cost and maintaining cost is also there. And for maintaining all these things, you have to obtain a bank loan. And bank loan interest is another cost. So that is financing cost. And there is a possibility of obsolescence also. Things may become outdated. So that cost is also there. There is also possibility of expected default. Debtors, there is a possibility that debtors may not pay. Okay, so these are some additional costs which are involved in maintaining high current asset or high working capital. So one has to take care of. So one should not go by the theory that more current asset means current ratio is good. It's a good sign. Not always. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood.
Yes, sir. सर गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ डेटर कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकते हैं?
कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करोगे गुड क्वालिटी डेटर्स?
यस सर.
हाँ, you see, age matters a lot. Suppose the debtors is old. So normally what happens in a real management, we classify the debtors. The debtors more than 1 month old, more than 3 months old, more than 6 months old, more than 1 year old, more than 6 years old. Suppose you will say one debtor is there more than 3 years old. 3 years it has not been paid. So definitely this is not a good debtor. Okay,
यस
one
सर.
debtor is let us say maybe 1 month old. It is a good debtor. Or let us say there is a particular debtor. Some of the bills are outstanding for more than 3 years, but it has not been paid. But other bills are settled. So you can understand to some extent that debit balance is bad, some extent it is good. So like
Yes,
this
sir.
you have to analyze. So on the basis of aging we can analyze. Otherwise also by using your business experience, businessman can distinguish who is debtor is good, who is debtor is bad. It depends upon what kind of business dealing he is happening, he is doing with them. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Now one question is asked many times that you see all these figures, current asset figure, current liabilities figure, we take it from the financial statements as the balance sheet. Question is that whether the balance sheet figures gives the true and fair view of the working capital position. So this is a debatable issue, but here we have to think the concept. We have to always remember that balance sheet is a position statement. It shows the position on a particular date. On a particular date, the current asset and current liabilities can be managed. Is it not? But
Yes,
when
sir.
you talk about the working capital, we're expecting a working capital which needs to be maintained throughout the period. Therefore, by seeing or by picking of current asset and current liability data only from a particular date, only for the balance sheet, may not show you the true working capital position. Ideally, what can be done? Maybe on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. This data can be collected and can be averaged out so that one can find it out what is the normal working capital position of that company. And again, some industry may face this kind of peak and non-peak seasons differences. So peak seasons working capital position might be different, and non-peak seasons working capital position might be different. These aspects has to be taken care of, right? So here
Yes,
again,
sir.
point is one should not blindly take the figures for the balance sheet. We should rather see the position over a period of time because balance sheet position will always represent a starting position,
Yes, sir.
right? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, quickly we'll cover this concept also. Various forms of holding cash. You know, cash is a very important component of the working capital. This is the most liquid asset in the balance sheet, right? So cash can be kept in different forms. Normally, the cash or cash equivalents. Cash equivalents means in the bank or in any other asset which can be readily convertible into cash. If it's readily convertible in cash, then also it is cash. And when it is kept in the bank, it can be kept in current assets, current accounts, or in fixed deposit accounts. But current account is most liquid, right? So these are various forms in which cash can be kept, either in cash form or in bank balance. If it is bank balance, either in current account or in fixed account. Okay,
Yes,
with this we covered a substantial portion of our uh, this working capital management. But then we'll be, yeah, moving. After that, we'll be closing out today's session now. Just a minute. And from here, next class onwards, we'll be moving to this treasury management, like cash management, etc. We'll be learning from next class onwards. Okay. Any query you have?
yes, sir.
Okay then. Thank you very much. We'll catch up in your next class.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sir.